Hey guys, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm just letting you guys know that I've been just really struggling with my mental health lately. It's just yeah. So basically, I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which means that my brain exists in one of two states. It's either manic or it's depressed, and right now I'm definitely experiencing the depression side of that. Um, but I don't know why, but I kind of felt like sharing one of my experiences with you. Kind of the reason why I was officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and that was because I had a manic episode in May of this year, and so I figured I just kind of wanted to share that experience because I found it kind of fascinating and kind of interesting how it all happened. So, okay. So basically, this all started right after I uploaded my Star Wars prequels versus sequels video or videos. Um, and both of them took a very long time to edit. And I essentially stayed up during the night. Not really the whole night, but I didn't get much sleep. And so basically, after I had edited those videos and published them, I woke up and I started hearing voices inside of my head. Um, and basically, those voices were telling me that the Force is real. And so it was just really weird to me because I'd never experienced something like that. And so I had those voices in my head, and I got out of my room and told my mom like, hey, I think I'm experiencing psychosis right now. This is really weird. And so what I did then is I just kind of went for a walk around my neighborhood, and I kept hearing these voices, and they were telling me like, "You're the chosen one, Aaron," and just basically telling me that I'm like capable of using the force or that I have powers or something like that. And so I it was like these voices were instructing me to do certain things. And so I like walked around my neighborhood and I went to like the gas station that's kind of near my neighborhood, and um, I got like a bottle of water from the gas station, and basically I like kind of sat on the curb in front of the gas station, and the voices were telling me something about like the fact that humans should just be able to exist, that there shouldn't be conflict in the world, and that if we all just sort of agreed that hey, let's just exist, and all we really need is water and resources for that, then why can't we just exist, without worries or anything like that? And so then I walked back home, and my parents were pretty concerned, but yeah, it was a very weird experience. And so I think a few days later, I like woke up, and then I heard a bunch of voices in my head, and these voices were from people who I had met in my life. It was like some of my friends, and it was like several of them talking inside of my head. And so basically, then I started hearing voices that the devil had possessed my father, and that really freaked me out. And so basically, there was like voices giving me instructions. And so then I went outside, I got in my car, and I drove to the park near my neighborhood, and I parked the car. And so another thing that the voices were telling me was that the Thanos snap is real, and that at and this is the really funny part. So at 7:07 a.m., because 7:07 is my area code, um, the Thanos snap was going to happen, which was going to wipe out half of the universe. And so then I drove up to the park and I had my Keyblade umbrella with me. And I opened it up so I would be protected from the snap, which was very, very weird. And so once 707 hit, I started like calling people and just like I was calling a few of my friends and they didn't really answer. And so I thought that it had actually happened. And so, but my mom called me and just told me to come home and that everything was going to be okay. And so I came home and then she told me to go to sleep, but I basically closed my door and the voices were telling me not to go to sleep. And essentially then that's when the rituals started to happen. And I'll explain this. So basically I got in my bed and then I started seeing a bunch of weird things on the internet about like the Thanos snap being real. And I saw like weird things on Facebook, like things were changing. It seemed to me like the world was changing, and at the voices were telling me that at noon that day, the world was going to be inverted. And I know this just sounds like a bunch of rambling, but this is what I'm recalling from all of it, because there was a lot going on in my head at that time. And so basically, yeah, I was performing this ritual and I was like listening to a bunch of music at once, like 20 different songs or something like that. And I would put on like The Rise of Skywalker, the latest Star Wars movie, and just be watching that. But I would be like changing the brightness, like up and down for whatever reason. And then I started like snapping my fingers a bunch of times because I thought that was going to do something, like fix the universe or invert it. And then so my parents heard that and they realized that I wasn't sleeping, and so they came in and they told me that I needed to stop, but I knew that I had to just not listen to them and keep doing it because for some reason in my head the universe was at stake. And so then they gave me some medication that would help me sleep. And so I went to sleep then. And then I had made plans to visit one of my friends at the park near my neighborhood that day. And so when I woke up, I went to go see him. And that's when I came to the realization that the universe was going backwards, or at least like that's what was going on in my head. I can't really remember exactly why I thought that. But yeah, and for some reason he kind of believed it, my friend. I'm not sure why. But then my friend drove me home, and then I was okay, I think, the rest of that day. But then the next day, I was just like freaking out because I was still in college at this time, and I had some assignments that I needed to do, but it like wouldn't let me into the system, and I thought that this was like, if any of you have heard of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, I thought that basically, all the power was going to get cut off and all the machines were going to stop working, like the internet and everything was just going to stop working. And I kept on believing this for whatever reason. And then eventually I said to my parents, I need to go to the hospital because I have been freaking out for the past few days over weird things that I think are happening. And so then my mom drove me to the hospital. And I was put in this room just by myself with like a security guard watching me. And I was growing very impatient because I still was thinking that the universe was at stake and that the universe was inverting or whatever else my mind was telling me. And so basically then um, they like hooked me up to a machine to measure my heart rate, and they put like a sedative in my arm. They gave me some food and a little pill, which I assumed was going to help me sleep. And then after all of that, I woke up and they dragged me to a mental hospital called Adventist Hospital in Vallejo. And so basically, when I was woke up and then I was in the ambulance and then I arrived at the mental hospital, um, I heard the woman in front of me say, "You're dead." Now I don't know if she actually said that or not, but that is what I heard. You're dead. So for a while there, when I was in the mental hospital, I thought I was actually dead. And the mental hospital experience was very weird too. I met a guy there who thought he was Jesus, um, and I met a guy who just couldn't really speak very well. Like he would just mumble every time he talked. Um, anyway, so I thought that when I was at the mental hospital, I thought that there was like a bunch of clues left to me that was like trying to help me like solve the answers to the universe or fix the universe or something like that. And I thought there was these clues left behind there. Some of the like whenever I would open a book at the mental hospital, I would like flip to a random page and I would read a sentence that seemingly was telling me something. Like for example, they have like a handbook at the mental hospital, and I opened it up, and I would read like certain things like you have the right to this and you have the right to that. And it was like one example is like you have a right to a private phone call. But when I would go to the telephone, well, okay, let me explain this. So the telephones were not private if you wanted to make a call. They were just out in the open in the public in the lobby, and like anyone could hear the conversation that you were having. And so that really annoyed me, the fact that I couldn't make a phone call in private, because I knew like my parents' numbers, so I called them like every now and then. But yeah, it's just very very strange things happened in the mental hospital. Also, there was a guy there, and what he did was he split this piece of gum in two and said, "This is part of the ritual." And that made me remember back to when I was doing all those rituals, and that freaked me out too. I was like, "Oh, so this is real." Like, you know, but yeah, I don't know. It was just a very strange experience. And then like I only stayed in the hospital for a few days, and then I was let out. Um, and just every now and then I always think back to that experience, and I just find it like really strange. And but like part of me still keeps believing that what happened was all real, you know? But, I keep trying to tell myself that it's not real, but it's like it's just a weird part of my brain and a weird part of my mental health and my disorder. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that experience with you guys. There's probably a lot of stuff that I left out, but um, that gives you a lot of information about what happened. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. So we'll see you later.